Hello, I'm Shannon Knight. Thank you so much for visiting my website. I am a stage 4 cancer survivor. I went to CMN Hospital in San Luis, Mexico. If someone told me back in 2006, when I got my first cancer diagnosis, that my life was going to take all of these different turns and that I was going to go to Mexico with stage 4 breast cancer, having to face a recurrence in 2010, I wouldn't have believed them. I wouldn't have believed that I was going to Mexico. I had the best insurance. Why would I do something like that? When I was diagnosed with cancer the first time, I will never forget it. I was waiting for my biopsy results. The nurse called and she told me that the doctor wanted me to come immediately. It was a Wednesday. It was already about 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the afternoon, and I would have hit traffic at that time. I asked her if I could get the results of the biopsy over the phone. She said no, and that I needed to bring a support person. When something like that happens to you, you already know the answer. Well, I didn't have a support person to go with me, so I'll never forget that drive. Not even really aware that I was driving the car. Have you ever had that happen when you're in shock or you're going through something? I don't know, a breakup or just something really bad, a bad day that you've got to face at work. You don't even know how you got from point A to point B without seeing any of the buildings or the trees. That's what it was like for me, and my hands were so sore. I must have been gripping that steering wheel so tight with stress and anxiety. So that was the first gripping moment of my diagnosis with stage 3 breast cancer. I had to make that drive alone and wondering what the doctor was going to say to me. It was July 19th, my brother's birthday. I'll never forget that day. Cancer spread already to my lymph nodes. So they recommended that I do a bilateral mastectomy, radiation, hormone blockers, because my cancer type was estrogen positive, progesterone positive, and HER2 negative. They wanted to get me on tamoxifen right away. When we get a diagnosis for the first time of cancer, it is like being thrown onto a battlefield. And the enemy's running at you, charging at you, and you don't know which weapon to grab. It's quite terrifying. And then you've got people trying to tell you what to do, but you're the one in the ring. You're the gladiator. You're the one fighting for your life. You have no idea what you're facing, how strong this enemy is, how persistent. I know that journey. And it has many different decisions, many crossroads where I have to make a new decision, a new choice. I went ahead and did the bilateral mastectomy and ended up with a horrific staph infection that took months for me to defeat. But that gave me some time. It gave me time to research a little bit about alternative medicine. And if it wasn't for that staph infection, I don't think I'd be alive today. I really think that I would have gone through the fear that I was instilled over at the University of Washington in Seattle was powerful enough to where I think they could have pushed me into one of the trials drugs. At the universities, they do have a lot of different trials and new things they want to try, and they just were throwing the papers on the table at me, recommending a lot of different things. That staph infection is what got me to slow down, get on the internet, and start doing some research. There is a lot of collateral damage that comes with the diagnosis of cancer. It affects our personal life, our relationships. There are a lot of things that we experience and go through that add additional hardship to cancer. You not only are going through the loss of femininity from having a bilateral mastectomy, you're having to face a new identity of yourself as a woman. By May 2008, I was deemed cancer-free, and I was excited. The doctors are telling me I'm in remission. When you hear the word remission for the first time, you're finally in remission. You know, with breast cancer, they tell you you're not out of the woods yet. You're not out of the clear, they say, until 5 years. I don't think they should tell anybody that. I think a lot of things have changed. Many people are doing integrative. I think many people are doing conventional, and they're also doing alternative. It takes love. I call that tough love. Tough love is not going to someone with stage 4 cancer and telling them they're in denial, that if they don't do chemotherapy, they're crazy. That's not love, because I'm living proof. Now, there are others out there that went to CMN Hospital and beat cancer. I told my father this when he had cancer. He passed away last year, 2019. I've told many people, whatever you decide for your treatment, it's not just one thing. If you're doing chemo, you probably found something online and you're doing some supplements. Our healing has many different variables involved. Someone can go to the same place I went to at stage 4, but they didn't do what I did starting in 2006. They didn't do the bilateral mastectomy and face a staph infection that lasted for months. They didn't go through the ER visits and asthma medication and a wrong diagnosis. By 2010, I'd already got cough symptoms. I'd already been to the ER for chest pain. I thought I was having a heart attack. I started developing a lump right here. It started just getting bigger and bigger over the months, but I kept getting the same diagnosis. It was costochondritis and asthma. Finally, my regular doctor, she said, "This does not look like costochondritis. This is beginning to look like something that you need to get checked out at an oncologist." I finally got a CAT scan. It was suspicious for metastatic disease. My oncologist asked for all of my medical records from all of those ER visits, and I didn't know that I had already had suspicion. They had suspicion that it was metastatic disease, but when you're in the ER, they give you paperwork to go follow up with the doctor. And I think denial, fear, is way back in the subconscious of my mind. I just didn't think about following up. I didn't have time. It meant another day off. I was already taking 2 days off from the costochondritis and the inflammation. So I never really went back for the follow-up. I just wanted to fix the problem. But when it got worse, and when it was painful to sleep on my side, and then my ribs started hurting, and my lungs hurt to breathe, and he said, "We just need to do a biopsy to determine what that is." And it was confirmed right after 4th of July weekend that it was metastatic disease stage 4. And then I did a lung biopsy, and that confirmed all of the spots on my lungs were different sized nodules of cancer. After 22 rounds of radiation, not only failed, but created more complications, collateral damage. Now I've got infection, pneumonia, staph infection again, and I'm worse off, and I've got 3 to 12 months to live. If it wasn't for my best friend Heather, for Melody, Cindy Jones, Dawn, Shelley, Mary, all of you angels, if it wasn't for all of you believing in me, they knew I wanted to go to CMN Hospital in Mexico. They didn't think twice. They weren't skeptical. They didn't try to talk me out of it. You told me it was never about whether we got our money back or not. It was about being supportive of what you wanted to do to fight for your life at stage 4. They deserve halos for being angels and capes with glitter for believing in me and supporting me. Even after UCLA gave me a death sentence, there was nothing else I could do. They believed in me. And to this day, I get to look at them and collectively all of the people they brought to Seattle, Washington, to Tacoma, to their hometown, to my old hometown. I was in California fighting for my life, waiting for the fundraising to take place, and they did it all for me. I painted some wine glasses. I did some wire wrapping with some stones on it. I auctioned some glasses, but my angels did everything. I did the website. I did the thank you and acknowledging the businesses with a heart. Fundraising can be done if you ask for help. If you're going to ask for money, let people in. We made a slideshow. It takes ingenuity, creativity, and stepping outside of the box. It takes love. Every single one of us will have our own story, our own crossroads that we're standing at and facing with no guarantee at the end of any road we're looking at. We're taking a chance.